Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet.
And that is where we are all concerned. I'm not going to talk about even pensioners that we have included. I think that thing, look, there's data. A country should not treat its senior citizens this way. Me, I restructure many debt. I have a little bit of years ahead of me to correct it. But people who are on pension, they are even more vulnerable in an inflationary era like Ghana. Inflation for December was 54.1%. When inflation rises that way, it affects pensioners more than those who are earning salary. And the pensioners have no other means of cushioning themselves. And that's why we say inflation affects people who are on fixed income like pensioners and the rest of them. So already they suffered enough. And there is no social safety net for the aged in this country seriously. So we should immediately use microdata to ring-fence that vulnerable group. I'm concerned. I'm not in that category, but we can't do this to our senior citizens. Please, Ghana, these are the senior citizens we have. They are the ones we go to for advice and the rest of them. We should not push them to their grave earlier than they decide themselves or the Lord would have made a call. That is one level. The other level, if you look at the current terms of the debt exchange matter, the banks cannot cope. The financial sector cannot cope. There are 3 channels through which the debt exchange in its current form and the macro instability would affect banks. 3 channels. One is through impairment. Every sector, every profession, discipline has its own jargons and how it is done. If you come to banks are highly regulated, both in terms of the law and then professional standards. So if you look at how banks prepare their balance sheet and the framework we have adopted, supported also by government, the regulator, and the professional body, Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, under FRS 9, if you fair value government financial instruments on the books of the banks, the impairment losses alone for 2023 will be more than 12 billion cedis. That's impairment loss alone. So if the regulators, they say that the bank should sign up and that they are going to set up a financial stability fund of 15 billion, it's not enough to even cushion one segment of the sector in terms of impairment losses alone. That's just one level. The second channel of impact is through liquidity. Hello?
Prof,
yeah, the second impact is through liquidity. Now, if government says that in 2023, they are not going to pay interest on their debt, immediately it constrains the banks in terms of liquidity. Because the coupon payment they would have received this year. So the same way that pensioners are complaining that is the coupon they live on, if the banks, the financial institutions, is the coupon that they also use to manage their liquidity. So the liquidity gap from implementing the debt exchange is in billions of cedis. Then you're also looking at the third layer, which is capital adequacy ratio. In fact, under the current terms, if you market to market at the discount rate of government securities right now, something slightly above 40%, almost all the banks will record negative capital adequacy ratio. When you record negative capital adequacy ratio, technically, these banks have failed. This is technical failure. These were the same criteria we used in resolving the financial sector when we said some banks have technically failed, or technically they have failed because their capital adequacy ratio was negative. You check Bank of Ghana publications in those days. So that is where we are. Now, Bank of Ghana say that, okay, you know what? Instead of using this discount rate, maybe use 20%, use 5% as a way of mitigating the impact. That is an accounting treatment. It doesn't alter the reality.
This FM 104.3, Wood to me,